You guys hear me? Word. Sorry, guys. New mic is officially up and running, so still perfecting that. But all right, guys. Good morning. Welcome to another pre-market live. Hopefully, you guys are doing well. Really nice day yesterday, guys. Especially in the morning. Definitely overtraded in the afternoon. First thing I want to mention is, guys, let that kind of like be a lesson, right? That the market is kind of showing us the past few days, the mornings have been a lot smoother in terms of, the trades that we're taking. Really that 11:30 time frame has really slowed down in terms of volume and movement and reliable price action, right? Levels holding up, things like that. So just make sure that you guys are really paying attention to those things. It really does dictate when you want to really be, going a little bit heavier in positions, things like that. Real quick, guys, want to talk about the SPX real quick. This is obviously, kind of what's on everybody's mind after yesterday's close. We can look at yesterday's close really quickly, guys. Obviously, I had been talking about how 436, that 436.20 area had been a really strong support for us. On the hourly, and once we broke that, we obviously saw a major downside move right on the 30-minute. Saw a really big downside move. Ended up testing the 433 level, and then overnight, obviously, filled the gap all the way down to 433, 432.78 was our low. So just want to mark our pre-market low, guys. 432.78. That was at 4 a.m. Obviously, SPY has rebounded a little bit since then. We did reject the 436 level, which is short term, a little bit bearish heading into open. If we, gap up and then reject this level again, then obviously going to be pretty, inclined to look at puts, obviously, because we do have room to fill the gap down. Would need to retest that support. If we break over 436.17, obviously that's going to be a little bit more bullish action. It's not a coincidence, guys, just really quickly to understand why we're seeing this action. Obviously, when we break support, that 436.20 level, 436.17 was a really strong support. Once we broke it, that now turned into resistance, right? Which is what we're seeing. Old support now turning into new resistance. That's bearish, right? I talk about that all the time on the bullish side of old resistance turning into support. Well, this is old support turning into resistance. Therefore, that is bearish, right? And the confirmation that is bearish would be a retest of that area off open and fail. That would definitely lead me towards the put side of things, right? And that gives you a nice opportunity for entry because things are bouncing. So it's a fantastic time to, get in the short positions you want to be in. I did put on the watch list my favorite downside setup. You could just play the SPY puts, which I may. It was a little bit choppy yesterday, so kind of be cautious on SPY. Probably not going to go super heavy, obviously, and obviously going to be trading, the options which expire on Wednesday. So in terms of my favorite downside setups, number one is going to be Facebook. The reason being is Facebook has a really nice, it just broke support here in pre-market under 322. It's trying to regain that support as we speak. If we look at the daily, which is where we need to go to find our most recent support on Facebook, right? That's going to be the 316.50 area, right? Which is our 200-day moving average. It kind of coincides with the longer term trend. I think that Facebook will probably see a bounce first. I do think this level gets tested relatively soon, but on the daily, obviously, you can see this has been one of the weaker names, hence why it's one of my focus setups to the short side, and more just kind of a logical support to test would be that 200-day moving average at it's technically 315, but 316.50 is the level I have marked. That's where I'm going to look for a bounce because this is where we obviously broke out, back in April, right? Or in April and then May. And so when we broke out of that level, Obviously, now that has been acting as support since late May, early June, and we saw the summer melt up, right? So that's been our support level. Once we got over that level, we really gapped up. So really going to look for a test of the 200-day moving average on Facebook if we see a broader overall market kind of flush. I'll look to play puts on the downside, and then I really am interested in adding calls in that 316, 315 area. Weekly calls, probably look at 320 calls off that bounce. So if the short side move happens too quick and you miss it, don't FOMO into the short side move. That's like the worst thing. You don't want to FOMO into anything. You want to wait for retest of support resistance. So wait for that 316 level. I'm going to play calls off that bounce if we see it. But in the meantime, definitely going to focus on the downside move off open. My focus setup for today, because I do think we're going to break that 436 level. I don't know. Something tells me everybody's a little bit too bearish right now. I don't think that we're going to get the big flush right before bank earnings tomorrow. So my focus setup is going to be Nike. The reason being is we had the tier 1 analyst upgrade from Goldman Sachs. They initiated coverage on it with a 172 price target on Nike. I think this is very bullish for a few reasons, primarily because these tier 1 price upgrades, as we saw yesterday with the SoFi, have been running really nicely, right? The price action has been smooth. It feels like there's almost like a, non-retail bidder in the tape, right? It's like things are just kind of moving. It's whenever it tries to break a key level to the downside, it doesn't, it gets saved. And then, we're seeing these really smooth movements. We're holding gains well. We're breaking out of, resistance patterns like SoFi yesterday and NEO last Thursday. So for me, this is going to be a major watch, and my focus set up off open. I would love to add in this, 431, or excuse me, 151.3 area. Jesus. That's going to be my area where I'm going to look to add calls. I would add calls all the way to 150, like 175 really. And I'm going to look for a move to that 154.22 level. That would be a great trade for me. A $3, move up, 3-point move up on Nike would be fantastic. Obviously, if we break that resistance on the daily, I could definitely see the 158 area coming into play, if not the 157 area, but it does have a pretty nice gap, where the price action's been a little bit smoother to the upside. Obviously, we've got the earnings gap down, and we're kind of breaking into that little bit of a gap up towards the 154 area. I think this could be the thing that sends it over 154.22, so I'll definitely hold the chunk if we get there. But that's really my focus setup just because of how the chart is set up, and I think it's kind of beaten down. So a price target that comes out, for 20% upside from its current level, it's very interesting to me, especially with how well, like I mentioned, the tier 1 upgrades have been running. So important theme to kind of note when we're discussing how do we gauge taking a trade. Okay, sentiment is a big one, and sentiment here is that it's a tier 1 upgrade, right? So it's almost like a theme is kind of developing with these Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley price targets. That's a good gauge of sentiment, right? To understand, okay, this is why I'm going to take the trade. What news am I going to look for in pre-market? And you guys have noticed I've been tweeting news that's been relevant and that has been coming from these firms. So, yeah, love to see it. 200 people in here. That's awesome, guys. Really love it. So Nike's definitely going to be one of my top watches, guys. This will be my focus to the long side, like I mentioned. My true plan here is when SPY is really in like an in-between range like this. We did just see some positive supply chain news out. Like I said, I don't think they're going to flush everything right before JP Morgan, Bank of America, Citigroup all report tomorrow. Therefore, I'm leaning towards a bounce today. We could see the flush maybe tomorrow post bank earnings. And obviously, we have CPI data and FOMC minutes. That is going to likely lead into a flush. We may see a little bit of a breakdown EOD. I'm going to lean towards we bounce at least early in the day, kind of like we did yesterday. So I'm going to fill probably a starter on Nike off of open, right? So I may say like medium or lotto. That's because I'm taking, a starter size, right? And if it gaps and goes crazy, awesome, right? I'll take my win. I'm not going to chase and size in. If it starts to base and we're looking like we're consolidating and SPX and QQQ are stabilizing a bit, then I'll add more in, right? And that's, an add point. If we break down, right, and SPX and QQQ go to shit, I can cut the position and it's not a tremendous risk. However, the upside here is worth it to me to at least fill a starter on this position. Does that make sense, guys? Like, you can let me know in the live chat if that kind of makes sense. But like, you understand I want to have some exposure, but not enough to where it's like, okay, this is going to ruin my week. Like, I'm not going to size in my normal size if I'm not, like, this is a B plus setup to me right now. And if SPY was in a better place, it would be an A plus setup. But because it's a B plus setup that has potential to be an A plus setup, I'm going to at least fill a starter and then go from there. Does that make sense? All right. So same can kind of go for Facebook if you want to like hedge, I guess. But Facebook, I think the 315 puts look interesting. Like I mentioned, if it holds 322, I'm leaning a little bit more bullish. But I really think this is kind of below support now. So look for the retest. If it retests and regains the 322.56 level, then it's got room to 325. If it rejects this level, obviously that's the downside move, right? So I'm going to have Facebook up on my secondary chart. I don't know why it's looking like that, guys. Give me a second. I apologize. Hold up. Fix that. Jeez. My bad, guys. Is that better? No, I'm not going to look at 160s for Nike. Strike price for Nike that I'm going to look at is probably the 155, if not like the in the money calls, because I don't want to go like too crazy, like out of the money in a market like this. I want to play closer to in the money. So, and the premiums are cheap anyway. So like it's, you know what I mean? They're not like Nike's not going to move 8 points in a single day, like unless something crazy happens like earnings, right? So other names I will watch is UPST, bouncing a little bit here in pre-market, obviously with SPY bouncing a little bit, now at 315. If it gets over 316 off open, the call should be really nice. They should be well above our average, or at least, at, if not, a little bit above. I'll probably take some off just because this 319 area has been such a strong resistance. Again, for me, the real focus would be over, the 319.50 level. If we get over that, then it has a lot of room up, like I mentioned on the daily, to 350 plus. That's why I took the 350 calls, right? So that's going to be kind of my focus. Only other big things I'm going to look at, I'm going to hold on to HUT as long as Bitcoin holds that 56.7 area. And like I mentioned, guys, just a quick review. My top watch is off open, right? SPX, SPY. I'm going to watch the 436 level just because obviously we broke down hard off that level yesterday, as you can see here, right? We broke down hard off the 436 level. I don't know why. Sorry, guys. I didn't realize the live format was a little bit messed up. It's weird. Anyway, so that's going to be kind of my main focus, right? Do we regain this 436 level? That's going to dictate kind of how I go about things. It's looking, looking like we're stabilizing a little bit, but, in this market, guys, I don't really trust much of anything. So, like I said, 436.17. Need to get over that and a break and hold. If we do that, 437.84 comes quick. If we break below pre-market low, 432.78 around 4 a.m. So keep an eye on that level because it's going to be key. So always mark your pre-market low and pre-market high, guys. So 436.17 high, 432.78 low. Facebook, 322.60 70 is the key level to regain VWAP area over 322.50. Obviously going to lean more bullish temporarily. I'm not going to play calls on it off that level, but might be a nice entry for puts if we reject that level and come down. That would definitely, set up a nice short side trade. Nike is going to be my main focus off open. Long side, would love to add dips on calls in the 150 area would be nice. 151 like 7 I'm fine with. Don't want to add too high over 154, but like I said, I think this is going to be a nice trader today just because of how well the tier 1 analyst upgrades have been. Small cap names I'm watching today, OCGN, off that vaccine kind of theme / news, right? Daily breakout, dipping in pre-market now. If it can hold, if it can get back over 860, it looks nice, but otherwise, not really a focus for me. So, Nike, I'm going to either play the 152.5 strike or the 155 strike. Not sure which, but that's my plan, is to play one of those two. Cool. Pre-market high and low just acts as support off of, open to kind of start the day because it's, where have we tested in pre-market or levels that we've tested in pre-market that you want to be aware of, obviously, because that's going to kind of set the tone for, even though the market's not truly open yet, it's your, pre-market high and low. And so people are going to use those as natural psychological levels of support and resistance. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and post the focus setup on Twitter, guys, and then we are going to have a great day. I will see you guys tonight on Technical Tuesday. Going to try for 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight, guys. All right, I will talk to you guys on the Twitter today. Try to hop on live if I can midday, but obviously crazy schedule lately, so still trying to get to the gym midday too. All right, guys, I'll see you on Technical Tuesday. Be well. I will see you guys on Twitter.